I originally set out to script this video aimed at answering a question that I frequently see in my comment sections. That being, is now a good time to buy this game? But as I sat down and started and began developing the concept for this video, it quickly morphed into what I am going to discuss today. What's going on, everybody? And if you live in the United States or Canada, happy Labor Day to you. It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and like I said, instead of answering the question I consistently see, I wanted to instead take a look at another question. But before we begin today's video, in case you aren't yet a sub, please smash that sub button for more intensive Division content, and don't forget to ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my YouTube channel. Let's go. Even though this video will not answer those viewer questions with a lengthy answer, I'm going to answer yes. I believe The Division 2 is a game that if purchased now will provide someone with hours and hours of content, especially if they purchase the Wony expansion. So there, question answered, but that is not what this discussion is going to be about today. Really, the only portion of that original video concept still remaining is the thumbnail I created for that video. So instead, what I wanted to look over is the rest of this year and into early next year, the different Division-related content we should expect, and how all of this falls into line with the rest of the gaming industry. So at this point, you are probably familiar with this Ubisoft press release from May 2021, announcing the upcoming Heartland release, as well as a basic timeline showing differing Division universe content. Now, just looking over all of this, and we have, of course, already received and played The Division 2, and the Warlords of New York expansions, so those are the first three portions of this graphic that we can just mark off. Next up is Heartland, the possible successor to the original Division game's very popular Survival DLC, which finished a closed test back in mid-May, and since that point, we have not heard a single shred of information about this upcoming free-to-play title. Likewise, the next content release listed on the timeline, new content for The Division 2, has also been silent, and as far as I know, there have been zero closed tests or leaks concerning this portion of the release schedule. Now, just jumping around to here a bit, the Division mobile game and the Netflix movie are still in production, and the only portion of the remaining timeline that is materialized is the Division novel, or at least it could be perceived that way when the Division Hearts on Fire audiobook was released on July 16th. Now, I haven't done enough research to definitively state that this is the Division novel listed on the timeline, but you know what? It could be. Now, what gets a bit concerning here is that within this Ubisoft press release, it states certain ranges of dates, like this. Heartland is a standalone game that doesn't require previous experience with the series, but will provide an all-new perspective on the universe in a new setting. The game will be made available in 2021-2022 on PC, consoles, and cloud. While it says this about new content for The Division 2. While it's still too early to discuss any specific details, this update will include an entirely new game mode for the Division franchise and new methods for leveling your agents with an emphasis on increasing build variety and viability. We look forward to revealing more later this year ahead of this content's late 2021 release. Now, both of these statements are rather vague and don't throw up any red flags individually unless you compare the text release dates versus the timeline graphic that clearly shows Heartland releasing prior to the Division 2 new content. So the text says Heartland is coming 2021-2022, with the Division 2 new content dropping late 2021. I mean, it could have all been a small error on Ubi's part, but who knows in this day and time. But what really starts to get concerning here is this total lack of information shown to the Division community and how this will be impacted by the remainder of the year. Here, let me break some of this down for you. At the last Ubi Forward Media event, which coincided with E3, there was no mention of anything The Division related. Now, as I scan through the different Ubi IPs covered during the press event, it looks like every other title in their library is covered, but nothing from The Division, or any of these different angles. No Heartland, no Division 2 new content, no mobile game, just nothing, which we knew ahead of time based on this tweet from the official Division 2 Twitter account. We saw much of the same from the Division universe when it came to showcasing anything at Gamescom in late August 2021. In fact, if you go to the Gamescom official site and just run a quick search for the Division 2 or just the Division, it returns with nothing. And now, we are just outside of 20 days before reaching the fourth quarter of 2021, and the last 5 releases on the timeline, 4 if you exclude the Division novel, are yet to be seen. Now for our purposes, let's also exclude the Netflix movie, so it just boils down to Heartland, the Division 2 new content, and this yet to be seen Division mobile game. Also, just so I don't get any questions about it in the comment section below, XDefiant is Tom Clancy in name only, and I still can't believe that I'm saying that, but let's not go there in today's video. Also, just as a refresher, it was December 8th, 2020 when Season 4 End of Watch went live, since we have seen any new content for the Division 2. Now this all means that people have had a very long time with no Division content to keep them engaged. They have moved on and started diving into other IPs. Now some will come back no matter how long the delays are. They will follow the Division to whatever end, but just looking at this fourth quarter release calendar for 2021, it is a crowded lineup. Between now and the end of the year, we will be receiving New World, Rainbow Six Extraction, Far Cry 6, Battlefield 2042, Back 4 Blood, Guardians of the Galaxy, GTA 5 Remastered, Dying Light 2 Stay Human, and Halo Infinite, just to name a few. Now, after the first quarter of 2022 begins, you've also got Elden Ring and the perennial powerhouse of Destiny 2 coming with their latest offerings, and this is going to be a wild time of new releases, all competing for gamers' attentions. Now, hindsight being 2020, the Division universe really missed a golden opportunity to release one of their content drops or new IPs this past summer. As in my honest opinion, it was a really content-light period, and they would have stood a much better chance of grabbing a large portion of the industry's attention versus late this year and into early next. Now, just looking back over the remainder of this year and next, it is really difficult to find a nice window to drop anything Division-related without it being swallowed up by the heavy barrage of new IPs hitting the market. And so we have come full circle to this thumbnail of when is the time? And as I've already stated, I don't see an optimal moment over the next 5 to 7 months when the Division can enter the market and command its attention for an extended period of time. Now, it doesn't mean that they should delay the content, it just means that when they do decide to release anything, it needs to be extremely polished and replayable, or just risk the danger of being overshadowed. Now, one thing is for certain when it comes to release dates, and that is communication and press releases, of which we have seen nothing from this franchise in months. Now, I have read that the teams behind the games and content don't want to release anything until they have something solid. But at this point, one has to wonder how much will be left of the once vaunted Division player base when the studios do decide the time is right. Now, we are all familiar with this Division 2 graphic stating that the franchise had 40 million players. But that was at a time when content was still somewhat fresh and the community teams were staying engaged. God, doesn't that feel like ages ago? Well, anyway, since then, we have seen little shots of interest such as random tweets from devs, but nothing substantial to really energize that base. If anything is certain about this franchise, it is the fact that now is the time to start re-engaging with those 40 million players. They need information about the upcoming content. They need some artwork, screenshots, even a short 10-second clip of gameplay to spark their interests. They need to feel that their questions and concerns are merited, and they have value within the community. And they also need to feel as consumers and loyal followers of the Division universe that those loyalties that they have for this IP will be rewarded. Now, some would argue that it was the previous 6 months that will or would make or break this franchise, but just looking over the calendar of upcoming releases, I would argue that it is the next 6 months that will ultimately determine the Division's fate. Now, I'm not saying that the Division, a franchise that I have loved and covered since 2016, doesn't have the firepower to climb that mountain and make that kind of a splash and return to the market, but with no information, no communication, and really nothing coming from any of the studios, that comeback window is slowly shrinking, and it could ultimately shut down completely without a strong push beginning now. As always, I look forward to reading your feedback in the comment section below. In case you aren't yet a sub, please smash that sub button and ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my channel. If you could take the time to rate and or share this video, it would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch with weekly streams, join my community Discord server, and of course, follow me on Twitter, posting my thoughts on most things gaming related. Links to all of these platforms in the video description below. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.